अच्छा चलो I'll just have another question जैसा कि हम कल कर रहे थे. So the question is कि there's an equation. Okay, so again you've got an equation, and that equation is that there's four sodiums and they react with an oxygen gas molecule and they end up producing. Okay, what do they end up producing? They produce two sodium oxides. Okay, so that's the equation. What does the equation tell you? The equation tells you in what ratio are these things going to react. So, and it tells you the simplest ratio. Okay, if you had four sodiums, they're going to react with one oxygen gas molecule, and you're going to end up with two sodium oxides. Okay, that's going to be your product. So that's the ratio. So what formula did we study last time? I told you that there's a formula which is moles is equal to mass divided by the molar mass. It gets mass divided by the AR or MR. AR is for atom, it's the relative atomic mass, and MR is the relative molecular mass. Okay. So you had this formula, and this is how you're going to calculate moles. So आप lab में जाते हो, and what you do is when you go to the lab, you find out that let's say you've got 80 grams of sodium. So the question is, find out what mass of sodium oxide will be produced. Okay, so what mass of Na2O will be produced? When what happens? When you have 80 grams of sodium. So if you have 80 grams of sodium, how much sodium? So you got 80 grams of this, right? That's the question. So you got 80 grams of this. Or हिसाब ही लगाना कि what mass of this will be produced. So the first thing is, remember, you have to find out the moles. Okay, like how many moles of sodium, how many moles of sodium do you have to begin with? तो वो क्या formula? Moles is mass divided by the molar mass. So it's 80 grams. Divide that by the molar mass of sodium, which I don't know what that is, but it's given in the periodic table. Or remember, जो बड़ा वाला number है, that's the atomic mass. So sodium is 23. It's given over here. Atomic mass is the top one. So that's just remember the big number is the atomic mass. So sodium over here is 23. Okay, so that is 23. So you're going to divide that by. So you're going to divide that by 23. तो किसी ने find out किया how many moles do we get for this? क्या बना?
3.47.
अच्छा, so you're getting 3.4. So you're getting 3.47 moles, right? So you found out. So basically, you found out. Okay, that's the quantity of sodium that you got. Because the first thing is you have to find moles, and that's one formula that will help you in finding moles. And once you've found the moles, 3.47, right? So once you have those moles, what do you do with that? You use them in the equation, and you're going to use ratios now. So, kitna tha 3 point? Okay, that's 3.47, right? So we are getting 3.47. So we're getting 3.47 moles. So I'm going to use ratios now and find out the moles of oxygen and the moles of sodium oxide. So it's a simple ratio. 4 reacts with 1. 3.47 will react with how much? So वो मैंने क्या बताया था तरीका? It was you can either do the whole crisscross thing, like put x over here, do the whole crisscross. X will come out to be what? It will come out to be 3.47 divided by 4. Okay, so it's going to come out to be 3.47, and that's going to be divided by 4. What do we get for that?
0.869.
So ये जो number है 0.869 moles. ठीक है, that is what you're going to get.
867. 867.
अच्छा 867 moles. ठीक है, so you found the moles 8.867. अच्छा खैर, but you weren't supposed to even find the moles of oxygen. They weren't asking for oxygen. They were asking for sodium oxide. How do you find the moles of sodium oxide? So it's 0.347, 4:2, so 3.47 ratio x. आसान तरीका क्या था? 3.47 divided by 4 into 2, right? That's how I told you to do ratios quickly. 3.47 divided by 4 times 2. So in that case, it's going to be 3.47 divided by, so that's going to get divided by 4. Or times 2. So how many moles do you get for this?
1.735.
So I'm getting 1.73. 3 significant figure कर लेते हैं, 4 कर लेते हैं, 1.74. So I'm getting 1.74 moles, right?
1735.
नहीं, लेकिन वो 4 हो जाएगा ना? Okay, usually it's you just round it off on the third significant figure. ठीक है? So even if you write 3.5, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying a lot of questions will have a lot of numbers in front of them, right? 7.35 से खत्म तो नहीं हो रहा था ना? Because this wasn't exactly 3.47, right? It was a big number, right? It was अगर मैं calculator पे करूँ, it's 80 divided by 23. What do you get? 80 divided by 23. That's a pretty long number. It's 3.47. आगे 8 आ रहा है इसके, ठीक है? So this should have been 3.48 if you round it off on the third one. Make sure you get the rounding correct. If I put a calculator over here, I should remember to use the calculators properly. Okay? Let me just give you a brief idea of how to खुल जाएगा calculator. I said remember to do this. Like if you divide 80 divide by 3, right? Divide by 23. Sorry. I said divide by 23. What do we get? We got this really long number. You can't obviously write that number in the exam. So the rule is round it off till the third significant figure. So that's 1. That's the second. Well, the idea pata hai na what's 3 significant figures. We're not talking about decimal places. Significant figures is कि पहला नंबर, दूसरा नंबर, तीसरे पे राउंड कर दो. ठीक है? So if I were to round this off on the third one, तो उसके आगे 8 आ रहा है. So it should be 3.48. Is that clear?
Yes.
So this number over here, तो मैं जरा इसको accurately करूँ, this number over here should not have been 3.47. It should actually have been, बहुत minus की mistake है, but I'm just pointing it out ताकि we can we don't do that again. Okay, so it's this one is 3.48, right? And then 3.48 divided by 4, right? I mean, it's this number that gets divided by. I'm going to take the same number. दोबारा क्या हो गया? एक second. अच्छा, so वो क्या था? 80 divided by 23. अच्छा, so I'm going to take 3.48 now. और अगली calculation I'm going to divide that by 4. So what do I get? I get so this time I'm getting exactly 0.87. So I'm going to write 0.87 over here. ठीक है?
You have to multiply it by 2 as well.
अच्छा, so वो उससे आ गया, multiply by 2 भी है. So 1.74. So ठीक है, 1.74 आ गया, ठीक है? So just remember, okay, when you have a long trailing decimal places, then you just round it off till the third significant figure. अच्छा, anyways, question पे वापस आ जाते हैं कि I told you कि you find the moles of. अच्छा, remember the ratio only works with moles. अच्छा ठीक है. इतनी noise नहीं आ रही. अच्छा, so remember the ratio only works with moles, so you have to convert everything into moles. ठीक है कि अगर आप अंडे लेने जा रहे हो ना और 1 दर्जन अंडे लेने जा रहे हो तो eggs लेने जा रहे हो, you're not, so that's a number, you're not going to deal with mass. कि वो ये नहीं कहेंगे कि you've got 500 grams of eggs. I mean, अगर उसने कह दिया ना 500 grams of eggs, you're going to convert that into numbers. Okay, what number of eggs do you have? So the same thing happens with all these calculations. Okay, everything will be done in moles. You're counting things, right? So you have to count them in moles. So if they give you mass, but leave mass out of the question. Convert the mass to moles. Find out how many moles you've got. And then use the ratio. Okay, so all these ratios in the equation, the recipe mein jo ratio hai na, okay, that's the number of ratio. It's if a cake recipe says that you add 2 eggs, तो and और आपके पास ना उल्टा किसी ने mass दे दिया कि you've got 500 grams of eggs. The first thing is you're going to convert it into number. Like how many numbers of eggs do you have? So the same thing happens to the equation as well. The equation deals in moles. If they give you mass, convert that mass into moles because this ratio is for moles only. ठीक है, तो आपने moles में ही चलना है. तो 80 grams convert divide by 23, you get 3.48 moles. 3.48 का ratio लगाया divide by 4, it came out to be 0.867 moles for this one. 3.47 divided by 4 into 2, you got the moles for this one. Once you have the moles, then find out, okay, what is he asking? He's asking for the mass of sodium oxide. So once you know how many moles you've got, now he's asking कि भाई इसकी mass कितनी है. You can convert the moles back into mass. How do you do that? You use the same formula. The moles कितने हैं? That's 1.74 moles, right? 1.74 उल्टा हो गया, एक second. So you got 1.74. So you got 1.74 moles. You don't know what the mass is, but you can find out the MR of this thing, which is the molar mass. Sodium oxide is 2 sodiums and 1 oxygen. So you open the periodic table, 2 sodiums, 1 oxygen. So kind of sodium, this is 23, and oxygen over here is 16. So 2 sodiums, you need 2 into 23. So 2 times 23 and plus 1 oxygen, that's 16. So that's the molar mass. So you'll be able to find out the mass. What is the mass that you're getting for this?
Sir, 62.
62, is it point something or is it just 62?
107.88.
And what different? 107 point?
Sir, I forgot to divide it.
No, you're not supposed to divide. You have to multiply it. It's this thing multiplied by this thing. You'll find the mass. But we'll cut it. It's I've lost my calculator once more. Just a second. कितना था 10? How did you try it?
7.88.
Sir, I only did the 2 times 23 plus 16.
अच्छा ठीक है. You're going to multiply that by 1.74. You'll get the mass. अच्छा यहाँ तक 0.9 कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. 107 point. You're getting 107.9 grams, right?
Yeah.
So let's. You clear? How is this clear? Noor, Ayan, clear है सारा?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So I'll do one more. ठीक है. It's then we'll move to the next formula, which is again it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You just have a different formula for moles. ठीक है. But remember, equation it's all dealing in moles. So the next one is, let's say I've got P4. There's a reaction, 5 O2s, and it's forming P4O10, and it's a balanced equation. So the ratio is I guess it's 1:5:1. That's the ratio. So 1 of that, 5 of this, and they end up making 1 of the products. Now you're given that, find out, this is the question, that they're asking find out the mass of, so find the mass of P4O10, right? So find the mass of P4O10 formed from 100 grams of O2. So you had 100 grams of O2 and you're going to try and figure out what mass of P4O10 is formed. So first thing is, okay, I'm going to convert that into moles. Okay, I want to find out the number of O2s that I've got. How many moles of O2 do I have? The moles kya honge? Moles for this will be mass divided by the molar mass of O2, which is, so mass divided by the molar mass of O2. O is 16, right? Yahan pe. ठीक है, O is 16. So O2 is 16 into 2, that's 32. ठीक है, so that's, so that is 16 times 2. O2 के molecule में there are 2 oxygens, right? So कितना बने? What's 100 divided by 32? What do I get for this? How many moles is this?
Three 3.125.
So this one is 3.1. That's a 125 moles, right? So I found out the moles of O2, which is 3.12. That's a 0.125. तो वो आ गए. So I've all of a sudden switched from grams to moles, right? So that's the first thing you're going to do. The moles are again, you can find the moles of, because he's asking for P4O10, so you can find the moles of P4O10. You use ratios, 5:1, 3.125 ratio x, cross multiply, and you'll find what x is. Or you can simply do 3.125 divided by 5 into 1. So ye kya hoga? It's going to be, the moles of this thing will be 3.125 divided by 5 times 1. Okay, that's the quicker way of doing ratios. 3.125 divided by 5 into 1. So how many moles do you get for this?
Zero point
625. 625. Okay, so you're getting 0.625 moles. And again, once you know the moles, you can then, because the question is asking for the mass, it's not asking for the moles. So you can convert that back. You know the moles equal to mass divided by molar mass. So it's 0.625 moles is equal to the mass divided by the molar mass, which is, you compound concepts divided by the molar mass. It's P4O10, right? So what is the MR of this thing? It's P, that's 31. O is 16, right? So it's going to be 31 times 4 and 16 times 10. That's a big MR, right? It's a big molecule. So 31 times 4 plus 10 oxygen. So that's 10 times 16. Okay? So that's kind of a big molecule. So iska answer bata do. What do you get for that? So it's 160 plus I think 124. 284.
178.
Answer 178.
Yes, grams.
So the mass
I
comes
rounded it.
so mass comes out to be 178. It comes out to be 178 grams. Okay. So अब इसके आगे, remember the rest of the questions are going to be exactly the same. We'll just add more formulas to it. The formulas are just for moles. How do you find moles? There are many different ways of finding moles. So अगर mass given है, that's how you find moles. But the whole question basically deals in moles. 1:5:1, that's the ratio of moles. It's not the ratio of mass. It never is actually मतलब जिस अगर आप गाड़ी बना रहे हो ना कि you take one tire and you take sorry you take 4 tires, क्या रेशो होगा? 4 tires, एक steering wheel, 4 doors, right, 4 windows, 2 headlights, and then you get a car, right? You get one car. So you have a certain ratio, but that's not the ratio of the mass of the thing. वो टायर की mass का ratio नहीं है, it's just the quantity of tires that you need to make one car. You need 4 tires to make one car, right? It doesn't mean you need 4 grams of tires to make one car. It's the number or it's the count of the tires, ठीक है? So you see, the equation is dealing with moles. It's the number of particles that you have. You've got 3.125 moles, so you're going to get, so it's not the ratio of mass. Remember that. Okay, it's always the ratio of the number of things that you have. अच्छा, अब अगला फॉर्मूला करते हैं कि the next, अच्छा ये clear है? Is this perfectly clear to everyone? Amna, is this clear? Shoaib, Ayhan, Sanu, clear?
Yeah.
Otherwise it's clear. अच्छा, so the next thing that we have is the next one. Yeah, that's another formula, and that formula again. It's again for calculating moles. ठीक है, बाकी सब कुछ वही system वही रहेगा. It's just for calculating moles, and that's if you have a solution. First thing is, how do you describe a solution, and the second thing is, how do you calculate the moles? Like if I have a sugar solution, right? So how do you know how many sugar particles are present in that glass? Like if I have a cup of tea, that's a solution basically. So how much sugar has been added to it? How many moles of sugar have been added to it? Okay, so how do you calculate that? So let's say there's a solution, and the solution has particles of sugar mixed into it. Okay, glucose is C6H12O6, right? And it's got a lot of particles mixed in it. Okay, so that's one beaker that's full of a sugar solution, and there's this other one. Okay, so let's say there's this other one, and that too has sugar mixed into it, but उसमें ना थोड़ी कम डाली है sugar. So the quantity is kind of lesser. So you have got fewer particles. Now quickly tell me which of these two sugar solutions, which one is more concentrated and which one is less concentrated? Well, if you know what concentrated is, which one is more concentrated, which one is dilute or less concentrated?
The molecule.
I mean, this one, the left one is more concentrated, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's obviously more concentrated, and this one, the other one, is less concentrated. You use the word dilute for that. Dilute ka matlab hai there's more water and there's less sugar in it. So this one is less. This one is less concentrated, or what you can say is that it's dilute. ठीक है, ये word use होते हैं. So that one is dilute. Hopefully, I guess everyone knows what concentrated is. So a glass chai के अंदर, if you add a lot of sugar, you're making it very concentrated. If you add less sugar, you're making it very dilute. ठीक है, so every solution is described by its concentration. Sometimes a solution, and remember, planet Earth ke upar na, most solutions are actually made up of water. Like there's blood in my body, and that's mostly water. There's water in my cells. Earth ko dig karo, andar se water hi nikalta hai, theek hai? So most solutions, you're drinking tea. What is tea? Tea is mostly water, right? What is milk? Milk is mostly water. So most of the stuff that you have around you, most of the solutions that you have around you are basically water. It's the solvent is water. But जो particles घूम रहे हैं ना, they're swimming around. I mean, there's sugar solution swimming around. They're basically swimming around in water, right? So पहले तो ये याद रखना कि solution जब भी mention होगा ना, it could be another solvent. Yes, I mean that is a possibility. But on planet Earth, 99 out of 100 times, it's basically you're dealing with water. When you're dealing with milk, it's mostly 99% that's water, right? So solution by default 99 out of 100 times it's a water-based solution. Okay? The solvent is water. I said, but coming back to this, so the term concentration, like most solutions are going to be described by this term. And so we need to define this term. Okay? So whenever we make up solutions, we have concentrated solutions, we've got dilute solutions. We need to have a technical value for this. Okay? We need to have some number that will represent concentration. But this thing is more concentrated, that's not enough. I need to exactly know what value does it have. So what is concentration? Concentration is the number of particles per unit volume. Okay? So technically speaking, concentration is what are the number of particles that you've added in a particular volume. Okay? So it's the volume of solution. So that's the formula. So we've come up with a formula. It's a simple formula that if the number of particles are more in a particular volume of the solution, then it's more concentrated. If the number of particles are less in a particular volume, then it's a dilute solution. The concentration is going to come out to be less. So technically, that is what concentration is. Okay? But a clear idea how do you describe concentration? Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
ठीक है कि बस सिंपल ये कि एक ग्लास पानी है उसके अंदर how many particles did you add? Number of particles greater, more particles added in a particular volume, that's more concentrated. Less particles added, that's dilute or less concentrated. अच्छा, तो how do you count particles? Like in what? तो अब इसको ना और थोड़ा सा define कर लेते हैं. Number of particles. How do you count particles? हमने क्या discuss किया था? How do we count particles, atoms and molecules, etc. Like how do I count the number of sugar molecules? I count them using moles. मतलब मैं dozens में count तो नहीं करता ना, millions में, billions में. I count moles. I've got 2 moles of sugar particles. I've got 3 moles, right? So I count them using moles. And the volume of solution, how do I measure the volume of solution? The volume of solution is measured in decimeter cube. Okay, I'll explain what a decimeter is. I mean, you know what a meter cube is. You know what a centimeter cube is. So ek jagah aapke paas decimeter cube is something that's in the middle. I mean, you've got centimeter cube and you've got meter cube, right? So centimeter cube is like really tiny. It's a small cube, just a centimeter wide, length, width, breadth. Okay? Meter cube is like really big. So decimeter cube is like somewhere in the middle. It's basically it's going to have a 1 centimeter side, right? A centimeter cube is a volume that has, if you think of it as a cube, it's got a side of 1 centimeter, right? Or meter cube jo hoga, that is going to have a side that will be 1 meter, right? Okay, it's going to be 1 meter length, 1 meter height, 1 meter depth, jo uski height hogi, length, breadth and height, right? All of them will be 1 meter. Decimeter is right in the middle. Okay, decimeter is, it's 10 centimeters. That it's going to be a cube. So remember, it's two. I mean, this looks like 2 dimensional. It's actually 3 dimensional. A cube is 3 dimensional. So it's going to have a 10 centimeter side. Decimeter is actually 10 centimeters. So it's a. So वो clear है कि it's just another unit for volume that uses decimeter. This 10 centimeter thing. So this thing that's known as a decimeter. मतलब मीटर का पता है ना कि 100 centimeters होता है. So decimeter is like 10 centimeters. So is this clear what a decimeter is? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, फिर थोड़ा सा मैं ना वो idea दे दूं कि you can so the volume in chemistry, why don't we use meter cube in chemistry? Any idea? Why don't I measure the volume of a solution in meter cube? I've got 1 meter cube of sugar solution. What's wrong with that? Because 1 meter cube, pata hai na, 1 meter cube bahut zyada hoga. It's like, I mean, the whole width of my table is 1 meter, right? So I'm never actually going to have a 1 meter cube solution. That's too much, right? Meter cube is for it's a bigger quantity. Remember, your unit keeps changing. The reason we were using moles, why were we using moles? Why were we not using dozens? Why were we not counting atoms in hundreds or thousands or millions or billions, right? Because the bigger the quantity, you need a bigger unit for that, right? So the reason I'm not going to measure the volume of a sugar solution in meter cube is that meter cube is like really huge. It's like really big. It's going to be pointless. Okay. Okay, I'm never going to have a 1 meter cube solution. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Or similarly, the reason I don't measure my volumes, any lab mein main jata hu, I don't measure my volumes in centimeter cube is that a centimeter cube is like really small. I mean, centimeter cube is like this tiny, right? So I'm always going to have a solution. यानी अगर वो एक Pepsi का वो लेते हो ना, that's 1000 centimeter cube, right? It's 1 liter. So decimeter is like the right unit. ठीक है? तो आपका यूनिट जो होता है ना वो उसके साथ होता है. It's like your unit keeps changing according to the quantity you're measuring. कि अगर आपने कॉपी में पेजेस काउंट करने हैं ना, you're not going to use billions for that. You'll use hundreds as a unit, right? क्योंकि it would be completely pointless to count the pages in a copy using the unit billions. Although you can do that, but काफी pointless होगा. तो अच्छा, anyways, मैं बस ये थोड़ी सी conversion बता दूं, ठीक है? The conversion is, ठीक है, if this is your first introduction to a decimeter, all you have to remember is centimeter cube can be converted into decimeter cube, and decimeter cube can be converted into meter cube. जिस तरह वो 1 kilometer can be converted into 1 meter in meters. It's 1000 meters. If you've got 5 kilometers, that's 5000 meters. So if अच्छा, अगर उसने वॉल्यूम ना सेंटीमीटर क्यूब में दिया हुआ है, so what you'll do is you'll divide by 1000. You'll get the same volume, but now it's in decimeter cube. And if you further divide by 1000, ठीक है, that will give you the same volume in meter cube. ठीक है, so there's a conversion happening. And if you want to go back, you're going to do the reverse, which is multiply by 1000. That if your volume is in meter cube, you can multiply by 1000 and you'll get the same volume in decimeter cube. और अगर वापस same cube में जाना है, so you'll also multiply by 1000. So for example, I've got a solution, and they told me that there's a 100 cm cube solution. So what is the same volume in decimeter cube? How much decimeter cube do I have? Centimeter cube को decimeter cube में convert करना, what do I need to do? I'm going to divide by 1000. ठीक है, so I'm going to divide by 1000, and I'm going to get the same volume, and this time it's going to come out to be 0.1 dm cube. So that's the quantity of solution that I have. ठीक है, तो conversion clear है कि you can convert cm cube into dm cube. 100 cm cube is the same as 0.1 dm cube, right? Or इसी 100 cm cube ना, you can also convert it into meter cube. Like if you want to convert a cm cube into meter cube, you would have to divide twice by 1000. तो वो उसको दो दफा 1000 से divide करो ना, you'll get the same volume, but now it's going to be measured in meter cube. यानी if I want the same volume but I want to change the unit, so I would have to divide twice by 1000. तो इसको करना पड़ेगा 100 divided once by 1000 and then again by 1000. तो ये दो zeros कट के तो क्या बना है? That's I guess that's कितना हो गया? That's how many zeros do I have? 4. So I'm going to get 1.10 power minus 4 meter cube. ठीक है. So this is the same thing as 100 cm cube. तो मैं बस ये थोड़ा सा I'll just briefly talk about it. Remember in this formula that we have over here, which is concentration is equal to number of particles that you add in a solution in a particular volume, right? The more particles added, it's going to be more concentrated. So even throw briefly kar diya कि all volumes are going to be measured in decimeter cube because that's the right unit. Chemistry lab में ना decimeter cube चलता है. cm cube is too small, meter cube is too big. So you're not going to measure solutions in meter cube or cm cube. You're going to use decimeter cube. And I explained yes.
So to convert centimeter cube to meter cube, we divide by 1000. We divide 100 by 1000 and multiply it by 1000 two times.
नहीं ये तो to convert it into what? क्या था?
To convert centimeter cube to meter cube.
हाँ तो फिर दो दफा ये देखो ना centimeter cube है ये. You have to go to decimeter cube first and then go to meter cube. So you have to divide by 1000, then again divide by 1000.
Okay.
तब पहुंचोगे ना.
Okay, thank you.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
अच्छा लेकिन most of the questions will be dealing in decimeter cube, so you would have to like you're always going to use this unit. ठीक है. So just remember कि अगर cm cube में दिया हुआ है ना तो you just have to divide by 1000. You'll get the same thing in dm cube. अच्छा anyways that's the so we're going to use this formula. अच्छा इस formula को ना we can इसको simple उसमें लिख लेते हैं कि this is ये पूरा लिखा हुआ है. What we can do is concentration is moles over volume. ठीक है, it's moles over volume. Or we can also call it, now the unit for, a lot of times the symbol for moles is written as N. ठीक है, it's the number of particles which will be counted in moles divided by the volume. We can also write this as, I can rearrange it and write it as N is equal to C into V. अच्छा mostly ये वाला formula use होगा because most of the time I'll be calculating moles. Concentration of a solution will be given, the volume of the solution will also be given, and I'll be calculating moles. That's how I'm going to find out moles for a solution. ये वाला formula, it's the same formula. I just rearrange the terms. ठीक है, so you can just keep this in mind. N is equal to C into V. It's the same formula. But anyways, let's talk about this formula first. Let's try and figure out the concentration of a solution. So I've got a glass of water, and I'm going to add 2 spoons of sugar to it. ठीक है, and I want to find out the concentration of that particular solution. अच्छा मेरा जो glass of water होगा कितना cm cube होगा? 1 glass of water. Let's say it's I guess it's 200 cm cube. ठीक है, so the volume is around 200 centimeter cube, right? So that's 1 glass of water. I'm adding 2 spoons of glucose to it or sugar to it. तो इसमें add करो 2 spoons sugar. Now those 2 spoons of sugar will have a certain mass. तो कर लेते हैं 20 grams. ठीक है, so let's say you've got 20 grams और sugar का formula क्या होगा? It's going to be, I hope everyone knows, it's glucose. That's, if you don't know, I'm just going to write it down. 20 grams of glucose is
C6H12O6.
चलो ठीक है. अच्छा anyways, I want to find out how concentrated is this solution. Like how many particles have I added? The formula क्या है? Formula is that concentration is moles that you've added divided by the in what volume, right? That's the formula. Concentration is moles that you've added. So how many moles have I added? तो moles कैसा पता लगेंगे? वो पहला वाला formula ले आओ moles का. कौन सा था? You had this formula which is mass divided by molar mass, right? So how many moles did you added? You take the mass which is 20 grams added and divide it by the molar mass of glucose, which is C6H12. C जो होता है ना, that's 12 in the pure table. So C6 है, so that's 12 into 6. H is 1, so that's 1 times 12. और फिर कौन सा रह गया? I've got oxygen, which is 16. So that's 16 times 6. So can you tell me how many moles did I add? कितना मोल्स बने?
1/9, 0.11111.
20 divided by 180, right? 1/9. So the moles I'm getting is 0.111, 3 significant figures, right? So I'm getting 0.11 moles, or बस इसको ये करके खत्म करते हैं अभी. I'm getting 0.11. This is the amount of moles that I've added. ठीक है, I'm adding 0. बस एक सेकंड जल्दी से कर लें. I'm getting 0.111 moles. That's what my 2 spoons of sugar had. These many moles. Volume कितने हैं? What would be the volume in dm cube? क्या करना है? If I want to convert cm cube into dm cube, I'm going to divide by 1000. So it's going to be 0.2 dm cube. ये हमने अभी पढ़ा था कि cm cube में दिया होगा ना, if I want to find the same volume in dm cube, that's going to be divided by 1000. So I'm getting 0.2 dm cube. तो यहाँ पे मैं 0.2 dm cube ले आता हूँ. So tell me what the concentration is that I've
0.555.
3 point.
0.555.
So the concentration comes out to be 0.55. Third go round कर लेते हैं. So that's 6, right? So it's 0.55. 55. I think it's trailing 555. So 5 को अगर round करोगे, it's going to go in the upward direction. It's going to become 6. The last one would become 6, right?
So there are only 3 5s, so.
अच्छा नहीं वो चलो ठीक है, वो reason you had 3, चलो ठीक है, let's do 555. अच्छा, what do you think is the unit? The unit is exactly its moles per over dm cube. You had these many moles in this volume of solution. So the unit is mole per decimeter cube. Right? That's going to be your unit for concentration. So this sugar solution over here has this particular concentration. Okay, so that's how you calculate concentrations of different solutions that you have in the laboratory. मतलब वो घर के अंदर चाय का भी अगर concentration निकालनी, you can find that out. You can find out कि you are adding 2 spoons of sugar, so you weigh them. Once you weigh them, you can find the moles. So you'll be able to figure out these many moles that you've added, right? You'll know the volume of the whole solution, right? And you can just divide the moles by the volume, and the volume must be in dm cube. So you'll find that you have that this is your concentration. It's 0.555 moles per dm cube, moles per decimeter cube. Is that clear? You clear a concentration wala?
G. Yes.
अच्छा, so तो बस इसको summarize कर लेते हैं. That's your, just remember this formula. I mean, it's easy because every time most concentrations will already be given to you. ठीक है? Every solution will be described by its concentration. ठीक है? कि how concentrated it is and what is the volume of the solution. ठीक है? So whenever you see a solution, you need 2 things to find moles. You need to know what the concentration is, and you need to know what the volume is. If you know these 2 things, you can figure out the moles. Okay? So that's another way of finding moles, and this applies to solutions only. Concentration is a term and that only applies to solutions. So you can figure this out. Okay? So iske hum question karte hain. So this is just another formula for finding moles. The rest of the question would be exactly the same. So we have 2 formulas now. One is moles is equal to mass divided by ARMR. The other one is moles is equal to concentration multiplied by volume, and that's for solutions only. ठीक है, तो इसके फिर हम कल करते हैं इसके फिर questions. बाकी question वही होगा. It's going to be exactly the same question, but here's another way of finding moles. ठीक है, चलो ठीक है, कल बात करते हैं.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, everyone, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.